there's a lot of talks already on possible recession, UPS's labor issues, and possible strike that's coming up this summer. And I would say a lot of uncertainty. I think the top of that list from shippers that I've talked to is this strike situation with UPS. How big of a deal is this in your mind? And what are you advising clients to be able to do behind the scenes there?
Yeah, I mean, it's so I'm not going to make a prediction necessarily as to what I think will happen. I mean, it would have a huge impact on the market just because of the fact that UPS plays such a large role overall in the package delivery market. They deliver 20 million packages a day or something like that. And if there were a complete stoppage, which there's been discussions about continuance of service in some way, things like that, partially, but it would still have a significant impact and it would be disruptive, regardless of who you are, be it a competitor of UPS or a package shipper. There'll be service delays. There'll be a cost impact either leading into or coming out of it if it were to happen. So saying all that, I don't have one answer for clients, but I've been or contacts I've been talking with. But I think it's one of those things where the ones, of course, who are in the best position to start with are the ones who already have multiple carriers in place. And so there's already some flexibility there to be able to move some volume to other carriers, existing carriers. It's inherent to the program if you want to add carriers. But if you are single sourced with UPS, I think it's one of those things to where kind of a knee-jerk reaction to go move a lot of volume probably isn't the best move. But it should be a significant enough event or potential event to cause you to rethink your overall parcel sourcing strategy. And so in doing that, if coming out of that it is, we should diversify, then that potential event can kind of guide those initial actions, and the result should be maybe mitigating some risk.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really interesting, I couldn't agree with you more on diversification, and I want to dive into that as we talk about some emergence of some regional carriers that are really didn't exist 8-10 years ago that are very prominent now. But in terms of likelihood, I get asked that all the time. Like, how much of this is saber rattling from the Teamsters? How much of this is a marketing ploy from FedEx in some ways? Like, you saw FedEx really hit UPS customers fairly hard recently, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was, I think, I forget who surfaced that and published it, of FedEx pitching, right, using that as a pitch with UPS customers. Hey, come on over, but do it quick.
Yeah,
so do it by the end of March.
Yeah, they gave him a March 31st deadline.
Everybody knows that doesn't happen that quickly.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
but yes, I mean it's kind of common sense, maybe not as a full-on pitch, but sure, there's opportunity there for FedEx. Now, on their earnings call last week, they made it a point. I think it was in a response to a question about it, but to say we're not just opening up the network and everybody can come on over. They at least said they're being selective, and of course, however they determine this, want long-term customers, basically, not just a stopgap. Which it's interesting how you kind of navigate that. Well, you navigate it through, or you try to, from FedEx's standpoint, through agreement terms.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, and I would say that they're capitalizing on it 100%. Sure. But to your point, if a strike happened, there is so much volume that's going through UPS's network right now. There is no way that any other carrier can pick up all of that volume and be just fine. So it's a really interesting situation. And to your point, I totally agree with you. If you're 100% single sourced with UPS, heck, with any carrier right now,
right,
you really need to be in the mindset of diversification.